I started drawing when I was about 6 years old. My mother, she would give me these little packs of crayons to use, and growing up I never had a lot of money, so I did what I could with the supplies I had, and we had these little notebooks in class. It's those little composition books, and I just draw and doodle all kinds of things in them. And I remember a few times the teacher would get upset with me because I'd be sitting there drawing instead of paying attention. And I'd come home after school, and I would take my little composition book with me, and I would go out and I'd collect all these insects and bugs. And I remember sitting there, and I'd have a little composition book with me, and I'd have like a grasshopper or something, or a dragonfly I'd find, and I just sat there and I'd draw out the wings and every little part of it, and I'd put a little description on the side of it showing what certain parts of the insect was, like its wings and everything. And I'd make different pages of it, and there's different categories I'd have. And I went through a few of those composition books because they didn't have very many pages. They had about 40 to 80 pages. But I did a lot of these. I did a few pages every day, and I would keep collecting these insects in jars, and I would have them sitting all around in my house. And my mother, she would say, "Get those out of here," because I even have spiders that I collected in jars. And for them to breathe, I'd like poke little holes in the top of the pickle jar. And sometimes some of the jars, the spiders would get out, and my mother she'd just go crazy and like, "Get those out! I don't want those spiders in here." And so that's kind of how I started out drawing when I was younger. I was drawing things that I'd seen, or things that were around me. And then I progressed into where I was drawing all these dragons and everything. And I showed my mom these drawings, and she said she really liked them. She was impressed by how well I could draw them at that age. And I was only 6 years old, and I would draw every scale in the dragon, hundreds of them all over the place. And I remember I used to watch this movie, I think it was called The Land Before Time. It was like a cartoon for kids, and I know I watched that dozens of times. And then when Jurassic Park came out and everything, I was watching that. I really got obsessed with the whole thing with dinosaurs and all that. And so I continued drawing the dragons, and then I would get like a huge piece of paper. And I remember my mom would take me to the dollar store, and or Walmart, and we'd get this huge poster board. And it must have been, like 4 feet by 3 feet, and I would just set it down on the table, and I'd start drawing dinosaurs and everything all over it. And I put like a landscape in the background, and I would put in little trees, and I put different type of dinosaurs, like a T-Rex and stuff like that. And that led me into getting into a lot of stuff to watching, like the Science and History Channel. And I would sit there and I'd write down things that I'd learned. So for me, it was like I was teaching myself more so than what I learned from school. Because I always did better teaching myself than I did from learning from other people. So I just kept drawing, and when we didn't have any money, like we never really had money, but the times we had no money at all to buy anything, I would just use school supplies, and I'd ask other students what they had that I could borrow and use. And I remember to get these the wide college ruled notebooks. They got the lines all through them, and it drove me, it annoyed me, all those lines in there, because I wanted the paper to be flat, plain and white. But I had to use it anyways, and I remember drawing all my little dinosaurs on it, and the other kids would come up and ask me what I was doing, and I'd show them, and they'd start wanting to draw too, and they'd try to draw a dinosaur and everything. And I remember I had a friend, and this was when I was much older, 6th grade, to where, no, it wasn't 3rd grade. I'm not quite sure, it was quite a while ago, but it was between that time where he saw my drawings, and he was really into cars, so he wanted to draw a car, and he showed me his car drawing. And his other friend came over, he's like, I bet I can draw better than you. So he showed me his drawing, and the one kid that drew the car, it was really, really bad, and the other kid that did really good, he got his done pretty quickly, but I kind of felt bad for the kid that tried so hard and his wasn't very good. That when they compared it, when they asked whose is better, I went and told the kid that didn't do very well, I told him that his was better, just because I wanted to be nice, and I didn't want to discourage him, and I told both of them to keep trying. And I progressed from using crayons to using graphite really quickly. It was only about a few months until I went from crayons, like using pencils, because growing up I was a really quiet kid and I didn't really get into a lot of anything at that age. So my mother trusted me with pencils and graphite at that age. So I just continued drawing, and ever since then it's been something that I've just always done and that I've enjoyed a lot. And as I got older, I just kept practicing and practicing, and I always looked back at how I started and where I started, and why I did this in the first place was because I just really enjoyed it. And there's so many memories of things that happened at that age, that even though there's a lot of bad things happening, the few good things that were happening in my life, they really stand out for me. And so when I think back of how it all started, it really started about that age and just progressed from there. And I really enjoy where I've gotten at, or how far I've progressed. So the days I feel like I'm not doing very well, I just think back of how much I've progressed, and I realize that I shouldn't be so hard on myself sometimes, and just step back, reflect on where you've came from, and just be happy with where I'm at. And so that's how I got started